All right, welcome back. It is time to bring in our State House insiders, Antoine C. Wright, our Democratic strategist, Dave Wilson, our Republican strategist. The funeral for former President Jimmy Carter taking place earlier today. And guys, I noticed something just before the funeral got underway. Former President Barack Obama sitting by President-elect Donald Trump, the two exchanging pleasantries, smiling at each other. It looks like that they were very pleasant, very cordial. Antoine, what kind of message is this sending to voters out there after such a contentious election?
That they've been watching the Insiders and seeing Dave and Antoine behave themselves, even when they do not always agree on the politics. Look, at the end of the day, whether you're Democrat, whether you're Republican, whether you're extreme on one end or another, there are certain things that bring us together. Usually that's a natural disaster, and in most cases, that's death. Jimmy Carter was a good man. He was an honest man. He was an honorable man, but he was one heck of a man, both as president and his post-presidency life. And so to see Obama, Clinton, Trump, Biden, and others come together to honor this legendary, iconic leader is a good sign of what America can be.
We've got a person here in Jimmy Carter who was an icon. Keep in mind, there have been less than 50 people who have held this office. And it's a very exclusive group of men right now who have said and been the person to sit there as the leader of the United States of America. And in that, there's a collegiality. And there's a place in there, too, where we recognize the fact, as Antoine said, we can be disagreeing on policy. We can maybe even disagree on how we want certain things to go in the country. But the reality is this melting pot we call America is a place where we do eventually have to come back together and recognize the fact that as Americans, we have to continue to move our country forward. And I think you saw that today.
All right, looking ahead, Tuesday, lawmakers come back to Columbia. Dave, what are you expecting this session?
Three big things coming up in the legislative session. School choice is going to be on the top of the list right now for the Senate. They're actually having hearings on that before we get into session. The House is going to be taking a look at a major energy bill and the whole concept of bringing back VC summer and what is that going to mean to bring some level of quality, of resilience of the electric system, the cost of energy and everything along that line. I think the third thing we're going to be looking at right now is how is this legislature going to be working when you have so many new members? You're talking nearly a quarter to a third of the legislature in both chambers is brand new. There are 46 senators. There's 13 new senators in that group of folks right now. And that's going to be a big change and a big learning curve for a lot of people.
Antoine?
Republicans have the supermajority, both in the House and the Senate, so they get to dictate the business of the day and the order of the year. Quite frankly, it's whatever they want to do and the pathway they choose. I hope there will be some commonality things that are good for South Carolina, basic necessities, not just cutting the bones of government, but funding government to the degree that government functions and works year after year. Dave is right about the new members who will be available. We have a new administration in Washington. Who knows what those changes are going to mean for money funneling into South Carolina? But the other piece is, next year, we will go into statewide elections. So look for a lot of posturing and positioning for how folks will look towards the future of South Carolina with Governor McMaster terming out, and we will have a new administration and perhaps all new statewide offices across the board.
The election for 26 is already underway right now. That's the thing you have to keep in mind.
Antoine, Dave, guys, as always, thank you so very much. A quick check of the